Hi, it's Rob. Our topic in this lecture video is using MS PowerPoint with the theme Architecting High-Impact Professional Presentations, a framework for strategic visual communication. Microsoft PowerPoint is a presentation software application used to create slide-based visual displays for lectures, business meetings, classroom lessons, marketing pitches, and other informative or persuasive communication. It allows users to combine text, images, graphics, tables, diagrams, audio, and video into organized slides, which can be customized with themes, transitions, and animations. PowerPoint supports both linear and non-linear presentation flows, enabling presenters to navigate content as needed. It also includes tools for speaker notes, collaborative editing, and slideshow delivery, making it a versatile and widely used tool for creating clear and engaging presentations. In this lecture, we will learn how to approach the design and creation of PowerPoint presentations with the goal of producing high-impact professional presentations. The activities for this chapter will allow you to develop the necessary skills to progressively achieve that goal. As always, in the practice of accountancy, we should remember to be professional, perform effectively and efficiently, follow standards, and document our work adequately and properly. Topics in this discussion include: the first topic is the strategic imperative, adopting the answer-first structure, which includes a discussion of the subtopics, deconstructing the audience-centric approach, implementing the Minto pyramid principle, top-down communication, structuring the deck, from executive summary to supporting detail, and the pyramid principle applied to the individual slide. The second topic, establishing foundational consistency, technical mastery via Slide Master, discusses the subtopics, why templates and consistency define professionalism, the Slide Master ecosystem, controlling the presentation shell, implementing brand standards, custom color palettes and font sets, and designing layout slides for efficiency and varied content needs. The third topic is visual credibility, design principles for clarity and impact. It includes the subtopics, the rule of visual over text, maximizing retention, typography and readability, choosing, sizing and contrasting text, mastering color, professional schemes and strategic accent use, and avoiding visual clutter, the element restriction principle. Topic 4. Data visualization and imagery. Supporting arguments with evidence will discuss the following: the single message data visual, clarity as the primary goal, selecting the right chart type for the narrative, imagery selection and quality control, and contextualizing data, annotations and interpretation. The fifth topic is dynamic sophistication, utilizing transitions and animations intentionally, and it discusses the subheadings, the dangers of distracting dynamics, why subtle is superior, professional transition techniques, fade, push and cut, and advanced flow control, harnessing the morph transition. The last topic, implementation checklist and continuous improvement, discusses two main points: final review checklist for executive level deliverables, and preparing for delivery, presenter notes and handout optimization. And off to our first topic, the strategic imperative, adopting the answer-first structure. The creation of a professional presentation transcends mere aesthetic arrangement. It fundamentally requires an information architecture that optimizes audience comprehension, maximizes retention, and respects stakeholder time. In high-stakes environments, the presentation structure must prioritize clarity and actionability over narrative, suspense, or information flow built on an answer-last foundation. Deconstructing the audience-centric approach. Professional communication mandates a shift in focus from the presenter's journey through the data to the audience's immediate need for the core conclusion. A fundamental error observed in amateur presentations is the tendency to follow a chronological or investigative path, reserving the key takeaway until the final slide. This approach forces the audience to manage cognitive load by holding disparate facts in memory until the ultimate synthesis is revealed. leading to reduced engagement and potential confusion. The professional goal is to eliminate uncertainty and provide the essential context upfront, ensuring the audience knows what they are assessing and why. Implementing the Mental Pyramid Principle, top-down communication. The authoritative standard for organizing professional communication is the Mental Pyramid Principle, a hierarchical structure pioneered by Barbara Minto. This framework dictates a top-down, answer-first methodology. The primary conclusion or recommendation is presented immediately, followed by the key supporting arguments, and finally, the factual data or evidence that validates those arguments. Under the Minto structure, ideas are mapped out in a strict hierarchy, where the level of detail increases progressively as one moves down the pyramid. The critical mandate is to start with the answer, communicating the core conclusion or recommendation immediately, rather than delaying it until the presentation's end. This sequence is vital because it allows stakeholders to assimilate the core idea first, enabling them to thoughtfully consider each subsequent supporting argument and the underlying evidence, thereby facilitating a more informed decision-making process. The organization of supporting thoughts, forming the middle layer of the pyramid, requires rigorous internal logic. Minto identifies 4 principal sequencing methods for these arguments, ensuring they maintain logical order. 1. Deductively, presenting the premises of an argument before its supporting conclusion. 2. Chronologically, ordering arguments based on a time dimension, for example, month-by-month analysis or sequential steps. 3. Structurally, sequencing arguments as parts of a whole, for example, comparing business performance across different locations. 4. Comparatively, significance, ordering arguments based on their relative importance, for example, highest risk to lowest risk of occurrence. Structuring the deck, from executive summary to supporting detail. For an entire presentation deck, the Minto principle defines a flow that prioritizes the core takeaway within the opening minutes. The very first slide or collection of initial slides must function as an executive summary, clearly articulating the implications or recommendations derived from the underlying analysis. A professional starting point often involves utilizing the SCQA, situation, complication, question, answer, formula to rapidly frame the context and define the central problem before revealing the core solution. This ensures the audience grasps the relevance of the answer immediately. The deck then progresses in modular steps based on the sequence arguments. A standard structure adhering to the Minto framework follows a pattern. Slide 1 presents the executive summary key recommendations. Slide 2 summarizes argument 1. And subsequent slides, slides 3, 4, 5, etc., provide the specific supporting data points for that argument. This answer-first sequence functions as a critical project management and risk mitigation strategy. By leading with the conclusion, the presenter ensures that the high-value information transfer occurs even if external constraints, such as a client cutting the meeting short or stakeholders needing to leave early, intervene. In an answer-last scenario, such disruptions would risk the client departing without ever receiving the core conclusion, having only been exposed to supporting details without context. The Minto structure thus guarantees the delivery of the essential message regardless of meeting duration. The pyramid principle applied to the individual slide. The principles of top-down communication must also govern the architecture of the individual slide. Within this structure, the slide title is elevated to the highest hierarchical position, representing the top of the pyramid. The professional slide title must contain the most important takeaway or conclusion derived from the data presented on that specific slide. Titles should communicate a meaningful message and avoid merely presenting standalone data points devoid of context. For example, a weak title might read Q4 sales data, whereas a strong, Minto-compliant title would state, aggressive expansion into Region X drove 45% of Q4 revenue growth. Following the title, the middle of the slide comprising bullet points, charts, or visuals presents the key arguments or analysis. These arguments are then supported by the foundational data or evidence, often placed at the base of the visual hierarchy. A critical consequence of adopting this sparse Minto-compliant structure is the recognition that a single PowerPoint deck often cannot serve two masters: the presentation visual aid and the comprehensive written report. The structure demands that the best text slides convey their message as starkly and simply as possible, and rely on the presenter to state transitional or introductory points orally. Consequently, the slides themselves may not be intelligible as a handout to someone who did not attend the live presentation. Attempting to use a single deck for both purposes inevitably results in the fatal mistake of too much text. Therefore, a truly professional delivery requires the creation of two separate documents: the sparse visual presentation deck and a dense narrative leave-behind or appendix document containing all necessary supporting detail. Our next topic is establishing foundational consistency, technical mastery via slide master. Consistency in branding, formatting, and aesthetics is not merely a preference, but a non-negotiable prerequisite for establishing professional credibility. Inconsistent application of brand standards, such as mismatched colors, varying font weights, or fluctuating logo placement, can rapidly diminish perceived authority and attention to detail. The mechanism for enforcing this non-negotiable consistency is the technical mastery of the PowerPoint slide master. Why templates and consistency define professionalism. The use of a custom, well-defined template enhances brand consistency, speeds up presentation creation, and improves brand awareness among the audience. 9. A failure to leverage template controls forces designers to manually adjust design elements on every single slide, a process that is highly prone to error and results in a very inconsistency that erodes professionalism. Technical proficiency in the slide master environment is therefore a primary factor differentiating professional work from amateur efforts. The slide master ecosystem, controlling the presentation shell. The slide master is a specialized PowerPoint feature that defines the global design elements of a presentation deck, including background styles, color palettes, font sets, and placeholder properties. Accessing this central control panel is achieved by navigating to the View tab and selecting the Slide Master button. Within this specialized view, the first slide, known as the Slide Master, controls the overall appearance. Any changes applied here are cascaded down and reflected in the following layout slides. Implementing brand standards, custom color palettes, and font sets. Consistency is enforced by customizing the slide master's core elements to reflect organizational or design mandates. Setting slide dimensions. The presentation size must be established upfront based on the expected viewing format. By default, most PowerPoint installations size slides for a widescreen 16:9 aspect ratio, suitable for modern desktop monitors. The slide size should be confirmed or customized via the Design tab greater than Slide Size menu, allowing for selection between standard 4:3 or widescreen 16:9 or specific custom measurements. Custom color palette enforcement. The selection of color schemes is constrained in formal settings to avoid unprofessional or tacky combinations. For corporate or high-stakes office projects, design professionals recommend adhering to black, various shades of gray, and darker shades of blue. To enforce this, a custom palette must be created within the Slide Master view using the Colors Greater Than Customized Colors menu. This locks in the authorized brand identity colors, including those designed for maximum visual appeal by mimicking readily found combinations in nature. This strategic color selection, mandated through the master slide, extends beyond preventing poor contrast. It ensures the presentation's psychological appeal remains aligned with the professional tone. Defining custom font sets. Typography selection must prioritize readability and coherence. The presentation should utilize easy-to-read fonts and the number of distinct typographies used must be strictly limited ideally. No more than 3 different fonts throughout the entire deck to maintain visual coherence. Heading and body fonts are defined within the slide master using fonts greater than customized fonts, ensuring uniformity across all subsequent slides. Logo integration and background control. To enhance brand consistency and awareness, the company logo must be incorporated directly into the slide master. This is typically achieved by inserting a transparent PNG file of the logo via the Insert tab and placing it strategically on the master slide, ensuring it appears on every subsequent layout. Should a specific layout slide require maximum visual focus, for example, a full-screen data chart, the logo or other background graphics added via the master slide can be intentionally hidden by checking the Hide Background Graphics option on that specific layout slide. Designing layout slides for efficiency and varied content needs. While the slide master dictates global aesthetics, layout slides are essential pre-designed containers that facilitate efficient content deployment for diverse needs. Designing a variety of custom layouts dramatically reduces creation time by providing ready-made structures for different content types, for example, title slide, section break, 2-column content, chart focus. Layout slides allow for the customization of specific placeholders, text, picture, chart, table, and their arrangement in strategic areas, thereby ensuring a consistent visual hierarchy across various slide types. The ability to create new layouts with unique settings, such as a different background color or temporary font style reserved only for section headers, provides flexibility while still being contained within the overall template structure. Once the master view is closed, these layouts can be applied to any new or existing slide in the presentation via the layout option. Our third topic is visual credibility. Design principles for clarity and impact. Professional visual design serves a structural message. It does not exist for decoration. Adherence to strict design principles is mandatory to prevent common aesthetic mistakes that erode authority, such as visual clutter and unreadable text. The rule of visual over text, maximizing retention. The audience retains 80% of visual information, compared to just 20% of written text, underscoring the necessity of prioritizing visuals. Professional slides must act as visual prompts for the presenter, never as a verbatim script for the audience. Text density restriction and the 4x4 rule. The most frequent amateur mistake is text overload, resulting from the presenter attempting to put the full story onto the slide. A professional PowerPoint should provide only salient highlights, allowing the presenter's voice and visuals to deliver the comprehensive narrative. To rigorously enforce this sparsity, a conservative standard, the 4x4 rule, is often prescribed, limiting the content to 4 or fewer bullets per slide, with each bullet containing 4 or fewer concepts or words. A slightly more lenient, but still professional standard limits content to 5 bullet points with no more than 5 words per point. Adherence to either standard ensures maximum visual space and prevents the catastrophic error of having the presenter read the slides word for word, which bores the audience and makes the presenter appear rigid. Prioritizing visuals. The ultimate visual goal is to replace text entirely where possible. If an image, chart, or infographic can accurately represent the slide content, it should be used exclusively on the slide without any accompanying on-screen text. The inclusion of high-quality visuals, charts, graphs, and mini videos allows for significantly better understanding and information retention. Typography and readability. Choosing, sizing, and contrasting text. Unreadable text immediately compromises a presentation's credibility. Typography must be selected and formatted for maximum accessibility and visual hierarchy. Size and consistency mandates. Visibility from the farthest row of the audience is the standard for font sizing. To meet this requirement consistently, Text should be no smaller than size 24.7. If more room is required for content, the professional solution is to create an additional slide rather than reducing font size. Consistency of ideas is communicated through the consistent use of easy-to-read fonts throughout the entire deck. Fancy or hard-to-read fonts should be avoided entirely or reserved only for rare, emphatic occasions and increased dramatically in size. Different text weights should be employed to establish a visual hierarchy, guiding the audience's eye to the most important content first. Contrast and color requirements. Text must contrast sharply with its background or any underlying graphics. The most professional color combinations for high contrast and readability are white or light beige text used on a dark background, or black or a very dark color used on a light background. If uncertain about the contrast efficiency, white text with a black outline offers excellent visibility over almost any color. On the slide is a focused summary of these mandates. The first item ensures the mental conclusion is the dominant visual takeaway. The second mandate guarantees legibility from the entire audience area. The third provides necessary context without overwhelming the core message. And the last mandate maintains visual coherence and strict professionalism. Mastering color, professional schemes, and strategic accent use. Color must be utilized deliberately and sparingly to convey professionalism, avoiding inappropriate and unprofessional color combinations that appear tacky. The color palette, which must be set in the Slide Master, Section 2, should reflect the intended tone. For formal corporate settings, strict adherence to black, grays, and darker shades of blue is advisable. Gradients should be generally avoided in body text unless the words are very large and used strictly for decorative purposes. When gradients are utilized, they must be simple, limiting the number of colors used. If a brighter color is necessary, perhaps to highlight a key data point or for an accent, it should be reserved as a single accent color integrated within the professional template, rather than deployed throughout the entire presentation. Avoiding visual clutter, the element restriction principle. Simplicity and clarity are foundational concepts in high-impact presentation design. Too many elements, including text, images, and animations on a single slide, detracts from the central message, causing cognitive overload and making the presentation appear as an unorganized collection of features. The principle of restriction mandates limiting the overall content to one core idea per slide. This discipline ensures focus, allowing the audience to grasp the message quickly and enhancing retention.
Our next topic is data visualization and imagery supporting arguments with evidence. Data and visuals function as the irrefutable evidence required to support the argument's position beneath the top-level conclusion in the Mendo Structure 6. Their presentation must be characterized by uncompromising clarity, accuracy, and purposeful design. The single message data visual, clarity as the primary goal. Effective data visualization transforms complex information, making it easy to understand and remember. The purpose is to distill data into actionable insights. The most common failure in this domain is overcomplicating the visual presentation. Professionals must avoid cluttering charts with unnecessary complexity, such as excessive colors, superfluous trend lines, or keys that demand strenuous audience deciphering. The requirement for visual rigor means focusing on one message per visual. A critical test for professional data presentation is the clarity test. If a chart is not immediately self-explanatory, or if its core finding cannot be summarized in a single, succinct sentence, it is deemed too complicated and requires simplification. The selection of data must be rigorous, including only the pieces necessary to support the clarity of intent, thereby ensuring the main message is not lost in a deluge of supporting numbers. Selecting the right chart type for the narrative. Data visualization must be planned with purpose, aligning the chosen format with the specific goal and target audience. The misuse of a chart type can fundamentally distort the narrative or obscure the intended comparison. The bar chart. The bar chart is used to compare data across categories and is best used when comparing discrete metric values, for example, quarterly returns by product line. It is highly effective for comparison, but requires consistent formatting. The line chart. The line chart is used to show trends over time and is best used when tracking performance metrics, for example, website traffic across defined periods. It should highlight changes and trends, not just raw values. The pie chart. The pie chart is used to show proportions or parts of a whole and is best used for item, for example, budget, cost, etc. allocation breakdown. It should be used sparingly. It is best used for simple, clear proportions, often less effective than bar charts for direct comparison. Scatter plot. Scatter plot is used to show correlation between two variables and is best used for analyzing the relationship between two specific datasets. It is effective for displaying clusters and outliers, requires clear axis labels. Tables. Tables are used to show precise values or attributes of a data and is best used for summarizing metrics or small datasets where exact numbers are critical. It is effective for displaying clusters and outliers, requires clear axis labels. The design of the data visual is inextricably linked to the narrative structure. Since the metastructure demands that arguments be supported by evidence and professional design requires the visual to focus on a single message, each chart must serve as the clear, concise proof for one specific supporting argument positioned higher up the pyramid. A chart that fails to deliver a single, unambiguous message compromises the argumentative integrity of the entire presentation. Imagery selection and quality control. Imagery must be high quality and directly relevant, reinforcing the content without becoming purely decorative. Blurry, pixelated images quickly tarnish professional credibility. Image quality is a direct proxy for the presenter's attention to detail and rigorous standards. Professionals must adhere to the following standards. Quality mandate: use high-resolution, royalty-free images. Never enlarge images beyond 100% of their original size, as this immediately introduces pixelation. Consistency: the style, theme, and overall look of all photos or illustrations must be consistent, reflecting the presentation's single overarching idea. Avoid these items. Strictly avoid watermarked images, which suggest rushed or unauthorized design, clip art, and images that are purely decorative and fail to serve a functional, supportive purpose. Contextualizing data, annotations, and interpretation. Raw data points, even when presented visually, lack utility without proper context. Annotations, labels, and short explanatory text are essential tools to help the audience interpret the findings and understand the necessary actions derived from the visual. It is mandatory to label all axes, units, and key data points. Furthermore, when slides are distributed for consumption outside the presentation context, accessibility standards dictate that alt text be added to all images. Our next topic is dynamic sophistication, utilizing transitions and animations intentionally. Dynamic elements, transitions between slides, and animations within slides must be utilized with rigorous intentionality. Their sole purpose is to serve the strategic communication goals, guiding audience attention, emphasizing salient information, and controlling the pace of information delivery. They must never be deployed merely as visual flair. The dangers of distracting dynamics. Why subtle is superior. The inclusion of excessive or wacky transition effects, a common feature in newer PowerPoint versions, is frequently cited as one of the most immediate indicators of an amateur presentation. Such effects do not enhance the narrative. They introduce distraction and cognitive strain. The presenter's objective must be to ensure the audience remains focused on the message, not on anticipating the next visual shift. Consequently, the use of the random transition option is prohibited, as it frequently selects the most distracting effect at the most inopportune moment. Animations that involve complex movement should also be avoided unless they serve a structural purpose, as they can be disorienting. Professional transition techniques: fade, push, and cut. For professional slideshows, subtlety in transitions maintains a smooth, polished flow. The recommended transitions are simple and direct. Fade, a classic favorite in business presentations, where the previous slide seamlessly fades away to reveal the next. Push, this effect suggests a connection between slides, as the new slide visually pushes the prior slide off the screen. Cut, a rapid, almost instant transition often used to signal an immediate change in topic or emphasis. Cover, uncover, simple, professional motions where the new slide covers or uncovers the preceding content. Advanced flow control, harnessing the morph transition. The morph transition represents the most sophisticated and powerful tool for modern professional dynamism. It is a dynamic content effect that creates highly polished, seamless animations across sequential slides. Morph works by recognizing object shapes, images, text that appear on both the preceding and current slides, and automatically generates a smooth transition in their position, size, or orientation. Mastery of morph is now a key differentiator in professional presentation creation, enabling sophisticated visual storytelling while rigidly adhering to the rule of intentionality. Practical applications of morph for professional decks. Morph facilitates the execution of strategic communication principles that are difficult to achieve with simple animations. 1. Progressive disclosure. Morph enables objects to appear only when they are specifically mentioned, controlling the pacing of information and minimizing immediate visual clutter. This technique also allows for visually de-emphasizing dimming items that have already been discussed, ensuring audience focus remains on the current point. 2. Zooming and focus. Morph can be used to seamlessly zoom the audience into specific areas of a slide, such as focusing on a key section of a large diagram or a particular data cluster, significantly enhancing engagement and clarity. 3. Spotlighting and timelines. The transition is effective for spotlighting specific elements, such as key individuals in a group photo. Furthermore, morph effortlessly animates complex timelines or smoothly transforms shapes, providing a highly dynamic visual progression for chronological data. This intentional use of dynamics ensures that the visual movement reinforces the communication structure, drawing attention to salient information at the precise moment it is discussed. Our next topic is implementation checklist and continuous improvement. The final stages of professional presentation development involve rigorous self-auditing and disciplined preparation for delivery. Final review checklist for executive-level deliverables. A meticulous review must verify adherence to all strategic and technical mandates. Structural integrity assessment. Verify that the slide title on every content slide functions as the conclusion or key takeaway, strictly adhering to the Minda Pyramid principle. Titles must be meaningful messages, not simple data labels. Text density audit. Ensure no slide violates the 4x4 or 5x5 text density restriction. Confirm that detailed speaking points have been reserved for the presenter notes feature. Readability compliance. Confirm a minimum font size of 20 for points is maintained across all content, and rigorously check that all text exhibits sufficiently contrast light on dark or dark on light with its background. Aesthetic quality control. Validate that all images are high resolution, are royalty-free, and maintain a consistent style throughout the deck. Technical consistency verification. Confirm that the presentation exclusively utilizes the custom color palettes and font sets defined in the slide master. Dynamics intentionality check. Ensure all slide transitions are subtle and professional, for example, fade, push, and that any object animations are used intentionally for pacing, focus, or progressive disclosure. and not for simple visual flair. Preparing for delivery, presenter notes, and handout optimization. The presentation's delivery must be supported by preparation that maintains the sparse, high-impact aesthetic of the slides. Presenter notes should be utilized to hold detailed speaking points and reference materials, preventing the presenter from having to read from the audience-facing slides. Crucially, when presentation materials are distributed, the strategic necessity of providing two distinct documents must be addressed. The visually optimized presentation deck, designed for maximum audience retention during the live delivery, relies heavily on oral delivery and may not be fully intelligible on its own. A professional delivery package therefore includes a separate, dense leave-behind document that provides the full narrative context, detailed facts, and comprehensive analysis necessary for offline review. Finally, all visuals, particularly data visualizations, must be subjected to a final stage of testing and refinement with external reviewers. Gathering feedback ensures the clarity and intended impact of the message are maximized before the final delivery.
In summary, the creation of a professional-looking PowerPoint presentation is a discipline rooted in strategic rigor, technical consistency, and aesthetic restraint. It is fundamentally a problem of information architecture, not graphic design flair. The analysis prescribes that professional decks must adopt the Minto Pyramid principle as the foundational architectural mandate. This structural commitment ensures immediate communication of the conclusion, acting not merely as a stylistic choice, but as a critical risk mitigation strategy that guarantees the transfer of the most valuable information regardless of meeting duration. Technical consistency, the hallmark of institutional professionalism, must be secured through slide master mastery. This step eliminates manual formatting errors and enforces non-negotiable standards for font sets, color palettes, and logo integration, ensuring that inconsistency, a common amateur failing, is technically impossible. Aesthetically, the guiding principle is clarity through restraint. This requires rigorous adherence to low text density rules such as the 4x4 rule and prioritizing high contrast, large format typography. Furthermore, the use of dynamic elements must be intentional. The adoption of the morph transition is recommended as the standard for achieving sophisticated, yet controlled, object movement and visual focus, replacing distracting, resource-intensive visual effects. Ultimately, achieving professional credibility requires understanding that the visual presentation is a high-level communication aid. The strategic necessity of maintaining sparse slides necessitates the development of two separate documents, the visual presentation deck and the narrative leave behind, to satisfy both the requirements of a dynamic delivery and comprehensive offline review. There it is, Chapter 5, Designing and Creating High-Impact Presentations, with the theme, Architecting High-Impact Professional Presentations, a framework for strategic visual communication. Listed on the slide are the references used in the production of this lecture video. Thank you for watching and stay safe always.